I'm here on my own. I'm not even going to discuss my drawbacks and things like that, but then I'm going to put you in a comparison game with the rest of the women in the whole world, and then I'm going to say that I chose you. So it's almost like faux humility. And she did say initially that she was shocked to read the letter, and that hurt my heart, because I think sometimes we can be so trained to think that a certain type of love is the way that when somebody gives a certain type of love, that's the love that we should receive. But then I think in that shock was also like when your heart just sinks for a second, and I don't think that should just be so easily overlooked. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and also welcome if you are new. I'm so grateful to have you all here. So my name is AkuaB, and here on this channel I cover all things faith, culture and encouragement. And as you can see from the title of today's video, we're going to be getting into some culture in today's video. So a lot is going on in this dating sphere of things recently, and I saw this post on the Shade Room that has been shared about a man's love letter to his fiancée. So before we get straight into that, as per usual, I just want to quickly encourage you to leave a like down below on today's video, and also comment something that you're finding interesting from this video, or just your own thoughts in general. And if you haven't already, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel and also turn on that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Also, if you haven't already and you would like to support this channel financially, then it would be such a blessing for you to click the join button down below, and there's also a link in the description, I believe, to be able to sign up to become a Bible buddy today. So if you would like to become a Bible buddy today, then please make sure to click the link down below in the description, or click the join now button to be able to get exclusive access, content and so much more. And in light of mentioning Bible buddies, I just want to give a quick shout out to Tawana Thornton, one of my silver tier Bible buddies. So thank you so much, Tawana, for supporting this channel. Now let's get straight into today's video. Okay, so before we actually get into deductions or talk about this incident, I'd love to actually just read the letter to you first. And one thing I want to get you guys to do is to leave your initial comments when you first hear the love letter that I read to you, and then also leave your thoughts down below once you've finished this video and have the whole context and my deductions and everything like that, and you've developed your own thoughts about it. So please make sure to do that and have a little bit of a contrast of what you thought initially and then what you think afterwards, because as you'll see, there's definitely that kind of 1-2 reaction. Some people have different reactions, some people stay the same. So make sure to do that if you'd like to compare your first reactions to your developed reaction later. So the love letter is from a man called Solomon, and he is a social media influencer kind of person. He does have quite a large following already on Instagram, at least that I've seen. But I'm not sure if this was on Twitter or YouTube or any other platform that he posted this. This is just the screen grab that the Shade Room has posted. Okay, so Solomon says, "You're not the most beautiful woman, neither are you the most intelligent woman. But like, I've chosen to never find perfection in anyone else. I put my gaze on you. And with that commitment, we mold ourselves for ourselves. Our perfection is in our commitment. Stating that you're not the most beautiful/intelligent might sound like it's not a compliment, yeah, but it's a realistic base for love, for real love. Acknowledging that my woman isn't the best, but I'm not looking for the best. I was looking for you and I found you. There's no best, there is just someone you choose and see the best in them. This to me is the real love. Not one that consoles itself in the faux reality that their partner is the most good-looking, most intelligent, most successful person in the world. That's disingenuous and doesn't give room for love to thrive. I love you, I'm committed to you, I miss you so much, but my love for you is stronger than distance." So that is the letter that is going crazy viral all over the internet, and that a lot of people have had a lot of things to say about it. So what are your initial thoughts after hearing that letter? Make sure to leave your thoughts and your comments down below. What has stood out to you? What do you think the general tone is of the letter? What do you think the vibe is? I know this is slightly turning into an English lesson, but yeah, I just find this letter so interesting. So we've got a lot to deduct in this letter, so let's get straight into it. So my initial thoughts when I read the letter, I think I read the letter yesterday or the day before, and I've had some time to mull over it before I've made this video, is that it just seems off. that's my initial thought. It just seems off. There is a more deepness to it, but I'm not sure if that deepness, that depth, is one of sincerity in terms of just love depth. It's more of a depth. It's not really clear and concise. It makes you think a lot more, and not necessarily just in a purely positive and loving way. It makes me think so much more into the complexity of what the letter actually means. So the tone of this letter, to me, it just seemed very off. Like I said, I sense the depth of the love in terms of the realisticness to it, but then I don't think there is need for the way that it was said to be said, especially publicly. So one of the questions I have is actually like, why was this publicized? I dug a bit deeper into the initial letter and found out that Solomon actually sent this privately to his fiancée and then decided to publish it publicly later. And he is a Christian, so this is in line technically with my content and things like that. So I'm going to be viewing this from a Christian perspective and a Christian love and all of that stuff. So that is why I'm going to be talking about from a Christian perspective in this video, because Solomon does identify and say that he is Christian on his platforms and things. So yeah, I just felt a bit off about it, especially the first line. A lot of people look at it and they say, you're not the most beautiful woman, neither are you the most intelligent. For me, that's kind of like, okay, it might be a fact in terms of subjectively, we might have our preferences and things like that, but the way that you would want someone to speak about you is one of just edification. When I think about something I love or someone I love, I don't immediately start comparing them. I immediately want to edify. When I think of God, I don't think, oh, like, God didn't give me this, but he's still the best. Like, I just think of the things that edify him, the things that praise him, the things that glorify him. So that is where I think a lot of people kind of stumbled at the start of the letter, because they were like, if you love this person, if you're in love with this person, why would you want to do anything to kind of take that glean off of them? Because I know we shouldn't be like idolizing our partner, but it's a way that just shows their best in them, and there's not really anywhere in here that truly purely does that. So if I'm talking about somebody I love, I might say, oh, they're a great singer, or they're really good at art, or they're so intelligent. I wouldn't say you're not the most intelligent or you're not the most creative. I would just say you're intelligent, you're creative, you know. There's no need to put that comparison language in there. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly actually sum up the love and the mission of God, and then compare that to the summary of Solomon's love for his fiancée. And again, I just want to state that I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm not trying to send hate to anybody. This is just purely analysis of this letter. I don't know either of them. I wish them all the best in their engagement and in their future. But yeah, this is just a video based on that letter. So yeah, so I wanted to sum up the love and mission of God. So seeing as though Solomon is Christian, and I'm pretty sure his fiancée is as well, I just wanted to sum up the love and mission of God, which is summarized quite succinctly, and a lot of Christians use this as a go-to verse for what the gospel is, for what the love of God is, in John 3:16-17. And that says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever," I'm saying this off the top of my head because I hadn't got the verses up. "First, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved." So in that, I don't really notice anything to diminish or compare humans. The thing that is focused on is actually the saving power and the goodness of the message, not necessarily the drawbacks of the sinners, because there is so much in scripture that tells us about the wickedness of man, but then when it's talking about the greater mission and love of God, it focuses on that instead. It doesn't focus on on the drawbacks and the setbacks of us, because that's like a given, but it focuses instead on the love of God, on the person of God. So yeah, I just found that interesting, that the summary, that is the first thing that us as Christians think of, like what is the gospel to us, and a lot of Christians go to John 3:16-17 as the summary of that for us, the love of God, the gospel of Christ. And then to compare that to the summary in this letter of his love for his fiancée is just a bit, it's not giving what what it should give for a lot of people. So in this letter as well, I noticed that the language as well seemed quite interesting in terms of submission. So I've just done a video on submission, and this is just touching on submission again, and the way that it seems that these fiancés, they relate to each other, and I can't judge them, I'm not in their relationship, anything like that, but it just seems that I chose you. There was not a mutual understanding of we're the best for each other. It was, I'm here on my own, I'm not even going to discuss my drawbacks and things like that, but then I'm going to put you in a comparison game with the rest of the women in the whole world, and then I'm going to say that I chose you. So it's almost like faux humility, in a way that it's like, I'm not going to mention myself, but then I'm going to compare you to others, and then I'm going to say that I chose you out of the goodness of my heart. So yeah, I just didn't like the tone of that too much. It seemed a bit patronizing and almost like authoritative, like I chose you, I this, I that, and this woman in her own right, I'm pretty sure someone said that she's like got a degree in mathematics or something like that, like she's an established woman in her own right, and she's very beautiful. I've actually seen the fiancée herself. So yeah, the summary of it did not come off too well with the general public. And then one of the last few things I wanted to talk about before we wrap up this video on touching on this topic is his admission of guilt, which is kind of interesting, because this is how I was talking about like faux humility, like fake humility, because in the second paragraph it says, stating that you're not the most beautiful / intelligent might sound like it's not a compliment. It does, because it isn't. It's not a compliment, and I think that yes, as humans, we love to hear things that edify us. We love to have our ears tickled. But then there's also a part of it that you don't have to bring up comparison to be able to then show somebody that they shine. You don't need to show somebody a room full of candles when they're also a candle just to show that they're not special. Like, what is the reason and the intention of doing that? Instead, we could just edify the person and just actually encourage them through their strengths and what they're actually amazing at to us. So yeah, I think a lot of people didn't like that in the tone, and then to see that actually written, he wrote that himself, like this might not sound like a compliment, and it doesn't. It's because it doesn't sound like a compliment. Usually if something looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So okay, so now I just wanted to talk about the fallout of this this letter, all the attention that it brought, and the upside and the downside to all of this. So I'm gonna start off with some good things, then go into some not so good things, and then finish off on some good things, because why not? Let's do a compliment sandwich about this letter, because we want to encourage more than we want to bring down. So this is an exciting time. A couple has just been engaged. So this letter is actually coming after an engagement. So it's actually interesting. I think that's as well that contrast of why people actually didn't like it so much, because it was coming straight after an engagement, and it was meant to be like a joyous, jubilant time for this couple, and then this letter kind of put a bitter taste in people's mouths when they read it. So that sharp contrast of the letter and then the positive engagement, it was kind of like, oh, this is a very interesting situation. So the reactions to this, a lot of people again were saying, why would you say this? This is not what you should be focusing on. What kind of love letter is this? And for me, initially, I can see why, you know, like I don't think I would appreciate this, like full stop. I would not appreciate this, especially in public, never mind in private. I would not appreciate it. I think it's a time to be jubilant. It's a time to enjoy things and actually celebrate things, instead of looking into the details of where I fall short in comparison to other people in this world. And a direct response from Solomon to being posted on, it was actually posted on E-News or something like that, and he said, it's actually bold to assume that I owe strangers an apology for what was written to my woman. Let her speak for herself. So that was actually quite an interesting post, and obviously he only really cares about her reaction, which is the best thing, to be honest. Love is between, obviously, the two individuals that it's between and God. Like, let them do their business. And she actually did respond. I heard her response. She went on a podcast. I'm not sure what the name of the podcast was, but she went on a podcast show to be able to discuss it, and she was asked about her reaction to it, what her initial thoughts were, what her thoughts were after a while. And she did say initially that she was shocked to read the letter. And that hurt my heart, because I think sometimes we can be so trained to think that a certain type of love is the way that, when somebody gives a certain type of love, that's the love that we should receive. But then I think in that shock was also like, when when your heart just sinks for a second, and I don't think that should just be so easily overlooked. Maybe that's not the way that she would most prefer to be spoken to and loved, and maybe then that's brushed under the rug because she sees that as the way that he loves, therefore she thinks she should automatically accept it. But then she went on to say that she actually thought about how deep the letter was and how profound it was and how interesting of a message it actually was to her, and that she actually loved it. So for me, that what I just said in not addressing the shock that we initially feel in response to something so profound as that, when we have emotions like that and reactions to certain stimuli, like, we should not just sweep that under the rug and move forward. I think that's something to be addressed. But it is great, again, it is to her, it's addressed to her, that she has found love in it. So that is her reaction to it and his reaction as well. One thing that I actually did not like about the reaction was that the fiancé, the man, he actually seemed to be like enjoying the drama, and I guess that's the only thing you can do in terms of reacting to any kind of negative press about yourself, is to just like act like it doesn't affect you, which I'm sure it does to some extent, but it was just the way that it's posted everywhere, and people saying this isn't like the best way to go about it and stuff like that. And I actually found the news article on his page, so he had continually been like sharing and engaging with a lot of the reactions to what he said. So I don't know, that makes me question the intentions of the original letter. Was it just to create like a media storm and frenzy around his engagement, around his letter? What were the intentions there? Because yeah, I didn't like the fallout of it too much, to be honest, and I just thought that it might have been putting a damper on something that was meant to be jubilant, which was their engagement. So after that, after all of that fallout, his reaction, her reaction, the reaction of the internet, which obviously had a very people were throwing like the word narcissist around and abuse and da-da-da-da-da. I don't know about any of those extremes. I didn't like the letter in itself. I thought it was quite distasteful. And there's so many ways to express love. Like Songs of Solomon, it's his namesake. Songs of Solomon, there's so many ways to express love that doesn't involve comparison, and I think that is one of the main things that people didn't like about it. If he had just said, she is so intelligent, she is so beautiful, he doesn't have to say that she's the most beautiful, he just had to say, oh, she's beautiful, or she's intelligent. But because it's she's not the most, like, why do we have to focus on the comparison? I think that's what people didn't like about it so much. But I just wanted to talk about the love of God, because the love of God does address that we are not what we should be, but that is coming from a perfect, loving, righteous, holy God. And God's love is one that covers all of our flaws, covers all of our shortcomings. So when I see this love letter and I think about the love of God, I just want to redirect our focus to what the actual love of God is, what love actually looks like. And I'm not saying this to like bash the couple or anything like that, I'm just refocusing the video onto the love of God before I wrap up. So the love of God is one where God sees our flaws, but he only is able to point out our flaws and actually fulfill the shortcomings of our nature and ourselves, because he is perfect. So I just wanted to focus on that, knowing that God is the one who can see us in our flaws and then also make us feel great about ourselves, knowing that he has redeemed us. So God is perfect. God sent his only son to die for us so that we could actually have everlasting life. So we don't have to focus on our shortcomings anymore, because we are now adopted into the kingdom of God, and we actually have the fullness and the sanctity of relationship with him for eternity if we so choose, by grace through faith. So I just wanted to leave on that high note. Let me know what you thought about this love letter down below. Do you think it's a love letter? Do you think it's just a media kind of, some media bait to blow up in on social media and things like that? What do you think about this love letter? Those of you that are single, would you want this written to you if you got engaged? Those of you, if you're married, is this what you would want your partner to send to you or to put on the internet about you? And just let me know what this love letter does to you. Like, what is your response to it, and what is your response now at the end of the video in comparison to the start of the video? And I'll catch you in my next video, so stay blessed and bye.